fourth quarter drills. Very pleased with our off season. Guys have worked hard, developed a pretty good unity, developed a good work ethic. Getting some of the injured guys back out there was good. They're still working through some things. And still got some guys over there we're working through, but very pleased with where we're at. Competition is good, I thought. I like the way the kids compete against each other. I like their overall attitude about how they're going about their business right now, really do. In the classroom and off the field, we're doing good things, so proud of them. Questions?
Who are some of the guys that have stood out through the show so far?
It was good to see Derek Mitchell back out there. You know what I mean, getting back out off an injury like that. A bunch of those young guys, those freshmen, even though they played, they still hadn't went through those fourth quarter drills. The guys, I think, will have even bigger roles next year. Good to see them get challenged and pushed and knocked through their Colin Blake coming back off those injuries. Oh, those guys, I saw that. I knew were talented guys that you wonder how they come back off injuries. And there's other guys, let me think through it here. Dan Hicks, you see Dan running back and forth now. That knee is doing good. Chris Casher's getting back into it. He'll be in most of spring throughout the year. I mean, those guys who were banged and bruised that way, I've been very pleased. The upperclassmen, I think, Christian Jones and Telvin and the linemen, a lot of the linemen, and I see Cam Irving, who's back out there now after surgery, he's really gotten himself back in there. Wilder and Freeman, just Rashad Green and Kenny Shaw. I mean, a lot of those guys just busting their tail. Greg Dent, a lot of those seniors, you can tell they're seniors and the urgency in which going behind things. I think who else? LaMarcus. I mean, LaMarcus is always going 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, some of those, there's been Jacoby, great to see Jacoby back out there and finally running and finishing, looking like the old Jacoby. So, there's quite a few of those guys.
Transition of working in 6 new coaches, how's that going?
Great, because they've all been through this. They've all been through the fourth quarter program. They understand what we're going to do on offense and defense and how we coach and what we do. That's actually been extremely easy because most of them have been through this system and what we're doing. And one or two that haven't, it's been easy because everybody else has.
Would be different approaches there, Jimbo, in terms of style, coming in with so many new coaches?
In what way?
Well, in defensive schemes or
what we'll do is, I mean, we always going to change offensive defensive schemes to fit our personnel and what we're doing, but we're going to do things the Florida State way and the way we've been doing them.
Is it Brewster at recruiting coordinator and Sanders at offensive coordinator? Or is that
no, there is no offensive coordinator.
Okay, there's no title of offensive coordinator.
How's Pender looking?
Really good. I've been very pleased with him. His leg has been great, doing great in class, doing great in school. I thought he's had the best spring. I mean, he looks really good. Explosive, athletic, very pleased. Weight's up, good and strong. He's had a very good first half of this semester.
Same quickness, burst?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. No doubt. Even bigger and stronger.
Say weight's up. What are we talking about? How big?
195 pounds. Okay. And he's increasing. I mean, he's a very powerful, strong kid. Extremely strong.
You've known almost from day one when you arrived as the offensive coordinator who your quarterback was going to be in a few years when you brought in EJ. You're in a little different situation this time. What kind of approach do you bring to it?
Not really. Just like the first year when they were battling. Drew and they were all battling. Xavier and those guys were all battling. No different approach. You let them decide how they play and their results of what goes on and how the team follows. At the end of the day, how does he move them down the field and who can put them in the end zone? And manage the game. And that's control the game, make the plays they need to make when there's big plays. And we'll let them dictate when they won't be any different.
You think that's something you can get done in the spring? You're going to need spring and summer, do you suspect?
I have no idea. Time will tell. Time will tell.
You talked about those guys before. All of those guys had some level of experience going into that battle. You've got Jacob's thrown a few passes, but
not really. Zay hadn't played much. Xavier had never played much. Drew had.
In terms of these three guys, do you feel like you have a good read on where each of them are, what they're capable of? Or?
Yeah, I think I know what their abilities are, but I'm anxious. You never know what somebody's capable of until they're put under pressure situations and put out there in a position to lead and also take off, so they can go take a job. You don't ever know that. And to sit here and say you know anybody at any time is crazy. You just got to let it happen, trust your eyes and what goes on. Big thing, don't force it. Let them tell you. You can't tell them.
Do those guys, you think, are they similar? Are they different in terms of what they bring to the table and what they're capable of?
I think everybody's different. I think any player is different. I don't think any two players are ever the same because it's how your thought process that really separates you as a player at any position, especially a quarterback. And I think they all bring different strengths and weaknesses as they go, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they can only do their job, but how they can make the other 10 guys around them do their job, and how they can make the guys on the other side of the ball at defense feel comfortable about them doing their job. That's all important for a quarterback. He's got to fool everybody, not just himself.
As far as just the leadership aspect of that, have you seen a little bit of that so far?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either of those guys, any of those guys we have, any four of those guys we have a problem getting in front of somebody or taking responsibility or pushing themselves or jumping out. They all have that natural instinct to be quarterbacks and be leaders.
You talked about Cameron coming back strong on the other side of the line. How do you view the right tackle position right now?
I mean, you got quite a few guys. I think Bobby Hart's had a good off season. Stork and those guys can do what they got to do there. There's different guys that can put in there that we can have rotations in.
Would it be, I mean, in an ideal world, would it be better for Bobby to get the job so you don't have to shift really two positions?
I don't necessarily say that, because Austin Barron started 3 games the year before and did a tremendous job. Played his tail off. So I mean, the best guy will play. Reuben Carter's another guy I think's made tremendous strides as a player. I think his size and strength is really above. Lovelady has done a nice job in there. And you got Crew back. You won't have him in the spring. You get him back next year too and have a good Trey Pettis. I mean, there's quite a few of those guys. I mean, we'll wait and see.
Is there anybody else? Is Tyler out for all of spring?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there anybody else?
Nick Wason will be out. Darby will be out. Tyler Hunter. I don't think who else. Have to go through position-wise. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
But Stork and Coker.
Fair and Crew will be. Yeah, Stork will be fine. Trey, Josue, all be fine. Coker should be fine. He should be there every day. Fair and Crew will be out. But he had to have his shoulder done. I'm trying to think. Receiver, running back. McAllister will be out. Shoulder. McAllister, defensive tackle, will be out. Shoulder, but that'll be good. Sometimes those guys can play, get that done. They won't get hurt in spring, so they'll definitely be there in the fall when it matters.
That help you for depth in the secondary? You're going to see what those young guys can do.
Oh yeah, they're going to get quite a few opportunities. And the way we practice, we get to see that anyway because of the way we practice. But there's some young guys. I think P.J. Williams' guys jumped out at me. Colin Blake, getting him back out there, I think you see great there. But LaMarcus Brutus has had a very good offseason. He's done. Gerald Demps, all those. I mean, it's be anxious to watch all those guys.
How's your COVID game feeling?
Really good. You saw him run today. I mean, he's running pain-free for the first time and finishing drills and going through the whole workouts, and conditioning is good. And very, he pulled a ham early because he hadn't done anything for a year and a half. And had to make sure he didn't overdo it. But now you see his body. I think he's come along very well.
Got a little bit the move of Joyner playing some more safety this spring for you.
He'll be playing some safety, but playing some more corner. You mean?
I mean corner.
Yeah, he will. So that's what he played in his natural. He can jam. He can run. We'll see him there. You can see him in those nickel and dime situations inside. I think he'll be a great blitzer, a great slot cover guy because he's extremely quick and powerful. And I think that's something he can do at the next level, and also play corner and safety.
How much of the next level was the decision to move him, or was it just?
No, I think it's what's best for the team. I think it's what's best for the team, but I think it's something that's what he truly is.
Is that something you and Coach Pruitt sat down and discussed?
Yep, I thought it was something we needed to do, and he agreed after watching him out here move that he could do that, and I've always felt that.
How does that kind of affect things at safety then when he's playing corner?
I mean, I just wait and see. I mean, you have a lot of opportunities. You have, Carlos have shots in there. Terrence Brooks has had a really good off season. Demps, you see some of these young guys. I mean, getting in there, Brutus. I mean, see some different guys have opportunities in there. See how they take advantage of it.
You talked about, obviously, the coaching changes happen in any successful program. To have to replace 7 guys in the span of a short time, just in terms
6.
Of 6, and then replacing one of those 6 again. But my point being that just logistically of getting that all to come together, and
it's not been hard because those guys come off the same tree. They've been in the same system. They've been in the same environment. They hit the ground running easier than the old group did. Sometimes it took a year to get to. And it's nothing against those guys. They did a tremendous job while they were here. But a lot of these guys have been in the same system and know the same thing. They know what we do. I mean, they've hit the ground running. It has not been an issue at all.
And there's a lot of guys with a lot of experience and even coordinator experience and stuff like that on there too. I mean,
more idea guys, more guys that have seen different things, bring different things to the table, stimulate your brain in different ways, and have been in decision-making situations. It's easy to step back and say what you would do when you've never been a decision maker. When you've actually called them and done it and everything, and you understand the whole logistics of everything that goes on, so you get a lot bigger picture and greater understanding of what you're trying to do.
I was just going to say,
no, you guys.
I'm just going to say, in that sense, how does the meetings, how do they compare to before?
No, very similar. We had very intelligent guys on the other staff too. I mean, just never been there, but there's a lot of guys who, and I say I encourage tons of ideas. I love ideas, guys that have arguments and push the ideas and fight for their side of it and that thing, and we finally make decisions. But I'm very good that way.
How do the players respond? I mean, can there be a motivational factor when you've got new coaches to impress and you're maybe not quite sure where you stand?
Oh, I guarantee you now, when you know somebody else you got to impress out there, it keeps them on their edge where they don't get complacent and lethargic and know how a guy does, and it's always good when you have a new boss.
Coach, with a number of key replacements you're making in the offseason going next year, how does what you're going to be doing personnel-wise line up with the schedule? It looks like
Oh, I think, but see, here's the thing: we're not having to replace that many guys because all those guys have played. I mean, whether say Timmy Jernigan wasn't a starter, he was. Whether saying Mario Edwards was never a starter, but he was for 3 games and played tons of ball. I mean, whether and the Joiners played corner before, your receivers, Greg Dent's played a bunch. I mean, you know, where do you go there? Even if Barron and Stork and Bobby Hart have all started before. So from that standpoint, you've done all that. I mean, you know, there's even though it's guys who actually you don't count as a starter, but they still played half the game or as much as the starters did in what you did. So from that standpoint, I think our guys feel very comfortable in the system of what we're doing, and you know, and have their experienced starters, whether new starters, if that makes any sense to me, the way I look at them. Because I always thought we had co-starters, and you like to have that. You like to have 2 or 3 guys that you don't. DeMonte McAllister has been a starter and played tremendous amounts of ball. Jacoby at one time has, you know. So from that standpoint, Giorgio has still played a lot of football. I mean, they still have to take that next step in doing things, you know, every day and being that front guy. But from that standpoint, if you have the program in the right system, those other guys are just like co-starters as you bring it up. So I don't think from that standpoint it'll be as tough. But whether it's schedule, I think we got, you know, open a pit on the road is a tough deal. I mean, going into a new team that you haven't played, a new opponent who's going to be very anxious to make their impact in the conference against the defending conference champion. What's a better way for them to jump out there? So we're going to have to bring our A game very early in the season. It's going to be very challenging.
How big of an advantage is that for DeMarcus Walker, to have this?
Him and Frank Stevenson, by the way, have done a tremendous job. I've been extremely impressed. Those guys, you know, they haven't missed a class of study hall one thing since they've been here. They busted their butt and fit in. Having him out here, having Freddie out here, those guys, I think from the get-go, knowledge of what's going on, going through a spring. I mean, you may be lost early, but getting that in there and in the summer and being able to contribute in the fall, I think is very critical.
Could they both, you know, just factor into anything?
They could. I mean, they're athletic enough. Because I'm going to tell you what, you don't see them not stay. I mean, they fit right in. So, I mean, they're going right in with a pretty good group of guys. So, I mean, that's how they learn and they'll get plenty of opportunities in spring and fall.
Go back to Pender, Jimbo. What does he do or bring that maybe the other 2 returning tailbacks don't?
He's probably faster. He's outright faster, a little more explosive. But those other 2 guys now, I mean, we got pretty good players now. I mean, 8 and 32 can both tote that rock and be physical and run and been dependable and played in big games and made big plays. But Pender is a very talented young man who hopefully will keep that consistency and play with a lot of consistency, because when he does, with his talent, he catches the ball, he runs the ball, he can hit, as I say, he can hit home runs. And he's strong. He's much stronger than for 195. I mean, extremely powerful guy, strong guy.
Some similarities with Chris there?
He's bigger than Chris. Chris 185, but yes, in that regard, in that the type of body, the explosion, the hard body, that. Except he's going to be much bigger than Chris was. But Chris was one heck of a football player. I ain't making him Chris Thompson yet.
Speaking of that, you got Pro Day coming up. With the sheer number of guys that you have that NFL teams are looking at and are probably going to get drafted this year, how big of a sort of a sales pitch can that be for the program when you're talking to recruits?
I mean, we have as many guys in the combine as anybody. Yeah. I mean, we went from not having anybody drafted 3 years ago to having buku guys that drafted and have as many in the combine as anybody. And that's, I mean, do we in trouble off the field very much? No. We've graduated 84, 92, and 87% in the last 3 classes. So we're being good citizens, we're graduating, and we're putting you in the NFL. What else do you want? And we got a great team. We're winning championships, and we're contending for national championships. So you're getting developed as a player. We're winning games. You're graduating from school, and you're being around a bunch of other good guys on this team. There's not many no knuckleheads out here. I'm not saying guys are perfect. Don't make a mistake, but our guys are very disciplined and very respectful young men. So from that standpoint, overall, we sell the heck out of that.